I want to address this for a minute because since we're the cancellation of Gotham, um, that's kind of it for CW. With their DC shows, there ain't really no more DC shows other than Superman and Lois. I think the era of the CW superheroes is over. We won't have another Arrowverse again, and I think someone else said it too. We won't. As you clearly see, all these characters line up the way we are. We're not going to have that again. That the heyday of the superhero boom is, I think, it's kind of over. And you're starting to see a lot more films too. I think slowly but surely people are kind of slowly, gradually moving away from the superhero genre. Not fast, but slow. It's like a swan song, I believe, and a lot of people are just like over it now. Which is sad because I think there's still more things they could do on the CW, especially with the show like Superman and Lois. But we are entering an era where the CW shows, which is gone. Some people would actually be happy with it. I will say Arrow's first several seasons was still good. I'll still say The Flash, dear God, first few seasons are still amazing. Supergirl, yeah, it is what it is. The Legends of Tomorrow show, it's okay. But the standout is Superman and Lois, and I'd rather they end on a high note than a bad note because that Flash season finale or series finale was garbage. Garbage. You hear me? It was garbage. Supergirl series finale was actually better. That's saying a lot because I'm not a huge Supergirl fan, but I enjoyed that finale over the damn Flash. Arrow ended too on a better high note than the Flash did. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I remember seeing the show back in 2012 with Arrow. Then they were talking about a spinoff with the Flash. And I said, Flash, what the fuck? Then they did, and they kind of had their own version of Superman and Batman. Flash was the Superman of the world, and then Arrow. Then Supergirl came in, and then Supergirl brought in the real Superman, and then then we got in the Atom, and then which was a ripoff of Tony Stark, but it is what it is. Sarah Lance, Guardian, Kid Flash. It just kept growing and growing, and I was like, "Wow, they really created a universe." Did they lose their stuff after a while? Yeah, they did. But I mean, who didn't? But you will never see this ever again. You will never see a type of a world building on television on this grand scope again. I give credit where credit is due. The CW gave them the tools and they made it work. They brought in shows, they brought in universes, the characters together that we never thought we'll see it again. And they did one of the biggest events I've ever seen in my life, the Crisis on Infinite Earth. And the way they did it was just memorable. It will always be memorable to the test of time. There will never be an event on that level again. Brought in almost every DC property together at that time, except the Snyderverse. That would have been cool if they brought the Snyderverse. The only thing they brought was the Flash from the Snyderverse, but they even brought that. That was still cool for what they did. It was really uniquely done. And I say this again, I will never see that again on TV format ever again. There won't be nothing on that scale of caliber done again on TV format. Now, and I liked it better anyway. And I think Jeff Johns said it 2 years ago. He said, yeah, it's a multiverse where the TV does its own thing, the film does its other thing. And some people said that was stupid. And I said, no, that's smart because you want them to tell their own stories, because when you confine them to your own rules, and it doesn't work. And look at Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. It suffered because it was bounded by the rules of MCU. Then eventually they said, fuck it, let's do our own thing. And it worked out. You have to let these characters, you have to let the writers of the show create their own story and let them do this, but not have them handcuffed. It's okay if they can't use a certain character because there's always another character as a counterpart to that, and they did. Arrow was the Batman, Flash was a Superman for a little bit. Then they brought in Supergirl. Then they brought in Superman because eventually they weren't using Superman no more. I mean, it all worked out the way it did. And we have one of the best Supermans we have in a long time. So, it all works out. But as always, guys, like, subscribe. Peace. have a dog today, but it's the end of the era. End of the era on the CW.